going to move into our Cheers to the Ladies Who section, where we shout out dope people doing dope shit. And this week, Mr. Jaden Michael, who was the star of Vampires versus the Bronx, has been cast to play Colin Kaepernick in a 6-episode drama that Netflix is producing on his life. And the point of the thing is that it's supposed to show like the journey that he had going into football and how actually his whole life, him being a Black man, has been a piece of how he's had to advocate for himself in order to get to where he's gotten, which I think is super cool because everybody thinks of Kaepernick as like, a athlete who got woke, as opposed to somebody who's been woke their whole life, but didn't necessarily be introduced to us that way. But that doesn't mean that it came out of nowhere, which I think puts everything into perspective in a really different way.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
On this film being made, on the fact that we have young Jaden getting cast, also Vampire versus the Bronx that you guys might have after watching it.
Yes, I mean, we love to see it. We love to see a young Black actor getting his spotlight. He was really cute in the Bronx versus Vampires, or Vampires versus the Bronx. He was adorable. So like, I'm excited to see it. Like,
likewise, I think that it's important to talk about these conversations and put those on people who have experienced that themselves to play these roles, instead of someone who's never experienced any type of, prejudice or any type of like uncomfortability in a circle. It's better acted, for him to go here coming from the Bronx and doing his thing on one platform and then going to this bigger platform where he probably can relate. It's gonna be interesting to watch, and I'm very excited for him.
Yeah, I think when I was watching Vampires versus the Bronx, it was like, first of all, I got excited because his character was Dominican, and I don't know if Jaden himself is Dominican, but like the fact that there was a Dominican lead in anything was really exciting for me. And I was just like, God, and he's so good. Like, he's such, I mean, all the kids were talented. My whole recap was like, if they could take Stranger Things and recast it with the kids from that movie.
Yes.
The kids from the Bronx.
I mean, like, can we even just talk about like Vampires versus the Bronx and like, just like how intentional it was in the sense of like just the funny moments, even like, and that big like last fight scene when the girl like walks up and hits the vampire with her Tim, and like all you do is see like the Tim fall on the floor, and like it's just like that, just like that shot and that call out was like so funny and specific, and it was a cute movie.
So Bronx.
Yes, so very Bronx.
So Bronx. At the very last moment, I will throw everything, but damn it, now I gotta throw my Tim.
My Tims, yo.
Because shit got real. It was time to break the Tim out. I loved the way they when they did the shots of the courthouse, and it was like clearly they had like photoshopped and shrunk the actual like courthouse and what it looks like so that it fit the movie. And I was like, wait a minute, because I was doing that whole like, did they shoot in the Bronx? Did they shoot in the Bronx? And they did shoot a lot of it in the Bronx, but I thought it was so hilarious because after a while, when they would show the shot of the courthouse, I almost don't want to spoil it and say too much of what happens in the movie, but we know that that's an important spot. But after every time they kept showing it, I'm like, they fucking with us. Like, they know the people. That is not how the courthouse looks. It is like 10 times bigger.
Yeah. It would have been so fun though if they had a cameo of the borough president coming out and like walking back in, like something going on when they had the fight scene.
I was waiting to see Diaz Jr. I actually low key at one point I thought, ooh, watch Bronx Native have some sort of cameo. Like, I thought that there would be more Bronx. There was a lot of Bronx. I was really happy to see what was there, but I'm like, I'm looking for part 2. Like, I'm trying to see how they really gonna raise up and bring more of the Bronx into that. But again, now that we're creating art like this, I mean, the fact that it got remade was important. right? And it opens the door because it did really well on Netflix. Like it's now going to open the door for more people who want to tell stories from the Bronx or places like the Bronx to have it be authentic. Because that was the one thing, like all, like even with all the jokes aside, it did feel authentic. I did not feel like somebody just tried to take the name of the Bronx to try to make some money and run away from the Bronx.
Yeah.
It felt community led, and a lot of community faces were also involved.
So a fun fact about that movie is we actually a year ago got invited by the director to have a private screening of it.
Ooh.
And we saw it in advance before it reached Netflix. Nice. And we went to the director actually works for as a writer in SNL. Nice. And he was definitely, when he came out to speak, from his own words and just understanding how important it was to encapsulate the Bronx as much as possible, because it was important, and he knew that importance to the people from here, that we're going to see it. We're going to pay attention to every single detail. And if you're going to do it, you need to be as authentic as possible. And I think that he really gasped that way before even creating it. And he's just a very awesome, humbling person. And he was very nervous, but he loved it. And I loved it. And Maudi's definitely loved it. He kept clapping and just wanted to have, more of it. But yeah, I think that I agree with you. He really did his thing, and we should definitely see it in a more series kind of layout.
Yeah, because even the theme, and this is the last thing I'll say because I can talk about that movie forever. I was just so proud, and I think it came at the time because in the middle, it's we're in this pandemic, things feel so hopeless, and then you have this like ode to the Bronx, and it just like boosted. Like after watching it, I was like, oh, this movie's lit. I was like, just so overwhelmed with love for the Bronx, and I was just like, oh, I'm so proud to be a Bronxite. But I also appreciated just the metaphor of the vampire and gentrification, and I was like, see, because like these are conversations that are happening in our community, and I thought it was so important to highlight that is a very real thing that is happening,
and it's very real. Yep.
And also though that it's a complicated conversation, because I love that they started it with this Dominican, shout out to Zoe Saldaña, like this Dominican hair salon that she was ready to move wherever the fuck she was, I think upstate or something like that. She was ready to move, and she was ready to leave. And like I think that like oftentimes people see the transformation of the Bronx, and they maybe have some misconceptions around why certain things are happening. And so sometimes we label things, or we're quick to label some of our own community people as enemies of the community because of the means with which they have to work with to make shit happen, right? So it's kind of, I feel like as long as I always tell people, listen, if you still order from Amazon, you don't have a good moral compass. Like that's always a bad place to start from, right? So when we are having these conversations around gentrifications and communities and businesses, I think we have to extend the grace that in the same way some of us feel like, damn, but we really need Amazon, even though it's evil. Think about some of these business owners. Do you think that some of the decisions that are being made are coming from a place of, oh, well, fuck the Bronx? Or is it that it's kind of like, for the Bronx? And for this to happen, this is what has to be done, right? And I wonder how we can, we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, I'm posing this question for the listeners. I wonder how we can have these conversations and stop demonizing each other and try to meet each other at the table to really have these conversations and understand why people are making the decisions they're making, because then you get into this battle war of talking shit and all this subs and stuff online, when really like everybody's just trying to make it work for the borough, because we're all from here and we want to see it succeed. And I don't like that we're making enemies of each other. I want us to be able to have
I literally have to agree with you. It is one of my biggest pet peeves is the moment you come across money as a person from the inner city, a person of color, a person of ethnic background, the first thing that we go and do is go buy shit, or we go and rent shit from a building that was built because it looks nice and we want to have some type of stature to look accepted. To who? nobody in the hood's gonna pay attention. Oh, that nigga just went over there and did whatever. And after a while, it just stops being a conversation. But we're sitting here paying, you know, for these skyscrapers in the middle of the fucking South Bronx. But, you know, it just makes me so angry that that this is the first thought process. And I think that the conversations that need to happen in those gatherings is to stop having that damn fucking thought process. We don't have time to sit here and pay somebody else's freaking shit, right? Some white person done built something pretty in the hood, and hey, you know, 40% of you can come stay here too. Fuck you, I'll go buy something. You know, we need to buy, we need to own. I cannot exhaust enough how much in my time growing up and seeing what I've seen and just seeing different perspectives of that. You know, I grew up suburban in South Florida. My mom flipped houses. We grew up well, but it doesn't change the fact that we still were people of color, right? We don't get accepted in the 90s like, oh, you want to buy this house? Rejected. You want to buy this house? Rejected. It wasn't easy. But now we have such of these platforms, we have services, we can make it easy. You have to choose to want to. And I think that that's the people, if they choose to change their narrative, if they choose to change how they want to come about growth, it has to start with changing that image that you need, you know, this money to be spent on something that you don't even own, you know?
Right. And I think another added layer to that is like for people who are really radical in their protection of the Bronx, which honestly I appreciate and I'm here for, because like sometimes it's I feel like we need both. We need a bit of both. We need the people who are like really staunch, like I don't care, like, you know, how great this opportunity is. If it doesn't feel clean or if the people don't have integrity, then like, no, then you're not allowed. I don't care if it'll benefit. But I do think that there's middle ground where the other side of the voice, it's kind of like, okay. But then maybe there's a way we can still take the benefit, but hold them accountable in the way that we can do it in a community so that it can be both. Because like for some people, it's gonna like the catch-up period to be able to say, I'm gonna buy this, we're gonna run this, we're gonna start it from the ground. A lot of people are coming from a lack of resource that's really, really deep, and that's real. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but you know what but then there are the people who are presented with opportunities from entities that other people might deem negative, but to them it's kind of like, what's negative about it? No one else is helping me, and this is help, and what I'm gonna do is take it, but then I'm gonna reframe it and own it in a particular way. And I think that you know, like you guys do a good job of that, in that you guys are doing community events, you're mixing everywhere. Like I can say personally from our experience with you guys, there's never been a no, there's never been a shady, there's never been a like, ooh, it's always very community oriented, right? But people can take one piece of information and then demonize the whole thing and then anything that's associated with it. And it's not necessarily conducive, right? Because
is that it's not. They have it all the way off. They're all the way off with the story. And a lot of that negative that comes in, I think we just always do more positive, is the way that we have an adverse effect to that. And it's like, if there is so much of this negative, please show us. You know, we're here, we're open for conversation, but at the end of the day, it's owning something and owning that with your community, because we don't own it by ourselves. You know, I like to, Amautis likes to really emphasize that he doesn't own it, it's the communities, you know, and he says that quite frequently, you know, and it's just like, and that's what it is. People walk in the community, it's a home, and you walk in and it feels like home, and that's their aspect of it. And that's what we keep up on that. And money that's spent to do that is well money spent, you know, because it's for the next generations, hopefully, to come. And the generation after that, like we're tired, you know, we're tired of everyone talking crap about the Bronx. So what? We're from the Bronx. You don't like it, you ain't got to step foot there. But when you do, trust and believe it's going to blow your mind.
Right. See, the Bronx is a
Mm-hmm.
great community, and not just because I'm from here, because there are other parts of New York that I also love. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I have no problem repping, but like people shit on the fucking Bronx consistently, and it's kind of
Yeah.
we can have nice things too. We can build nice things too. And we have community members that are willing to do it. And again, granted, people have different methods and ways of doing it, but the point of it is that it needs to be done. And so I think we, as people who are unifying to be the Bronx people versus the quote unquote vampires, that yes,
Mm-hmm.
side, you might look at them and be like, are they teasing with the vampires? Maybe, but maybe not. And if you're not sitting down at the table with each other to get some clarity and to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
methods aren't the way I would like, but here's some advice versus your methods aren't the way I don't like, boo, shut you down, burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, so then we're sacrificing our people. We're like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Birds, like, that's it. You know, we could do better. We are doing great so far.
Tell them, girl.
Flourish.
Cheers to that.
And cheers to that.